Well, hello, and thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Assisted Laudable Living. I am your host, Jasheena, Rev J, Shelton, and yes, I am excited that you guys have joined me today. This one is gonna be a little different. This one is me pulling up on you. This is not our normal show. So if this is your first time catching me, I hope that you can stay to the end. If not, I fully understand. But for my listeners, this one is for you. I have been been feeling for a moment something unsettling. That's what I'll say. And I was like, oh, let me pull up and check in with my people. And so this morning I was doing Bible study with the girls, and we came across a person from the Old Testament who was a priest, and there was one verse, just this one verse that really hooked me into his story. Now, mind you, the story really isn't about him. He is a character in the story. Anywho, Second Chronicles, Second Chronicles, 23rd chapter. So if you have your Bibles, feel free to flip through the pages, scroll to it on your screen, whatever you need to do. But you need to see this verse. This verse right here, Second Chronicles 23. I gotta pull the Bible a little closer because the eyes are doing something today. Said in the seventh year, Jehoiada showed his strength. That's all I'm going to read. You really have to read the story. I'm going to give you an overview, but you really have to read this one for yourself. That was out of the Life Application Study Bible, NIV. You may find it may say he summoned his courage in some other translations, and some translations may not mention that fragment of it. Here's the thing. So I'm going to pull up on you. You good? Okay. Hear me clearly. This season that we're in the American church, in the American Christian church, in the American Christian Bible believing church, because I have to be specific, I have to specify. In the season that we're in, a lot of us are going to have to summon our courage. We're going to have to pull a Jehoiada. Yeah, and Jehoiada means Jehovah knows. So the stuff that we're going through as a collective, Jehovah knows, or Yahweh knows. It's not catching him by surprise at all. The level of depravity, the level of boldness, the level of unmitigated gall that is being displayed by the enemies of God, he knows. He's not taken off guard. Your enemies that you thought were your friends, your family that you thought were your allies, the people in your camp who you look at and once were very close to, and now there seems to be a growing chasm. Jehovah knows. And not only does he know, but he has equipped you through your past experiences for this current day and for what's to come. Because see, let me just tell you a little bit about Jehoiada. So, of course, I have a J name. I like saying other J names. And I'm fully aware that J was the last letter added to the English alphabet. And so, therefore, it should sound like something else. Thank you for correcting me. However, for today, it's not what we're going to get caught up on. Today, we're going to focus on this mission, right? So, let's look at this. He was a priest, which already means he's a ministry leader who is set apart. So there were certain things that other people could do that he could not do. He was set apart. Okay? There was a purification that he had to go through. There was some consecration that he had to go to, which means in the world's eyes, he missed out on some things. Is this resonating with any of you? All right, ministry leaders. So he was a separated leader. So there's already a charge on his life, and he had to be separated from the masses. And so when you get quote unquote elevated, or you're in a position of leadership, it's not that many multitudes who are there with you. Okay? And so when they clap for some people and don't clap for you, Because you are a separated leader. And it says in that verse, he had to summon his courage, which means the courage was already his. It was already implanted inside of him because nothing can come out of you except for what's already in you. So he had to summon his courage. All right. And so what did he have to summon his courage for? What are you even talking about, Jasheena? Let me break it down. So at this time, of course, the Israelites had a ruler in place that should not have been in place. Matter of fact, the ruler that was in place was Jezebel's daughter. How did that happen? Girl, look, y'all gonna have to read. You're gonna have to go back and read Second Chronicles to get the full picture, right? So there was a ruler in place who had an idol worshiping mama, who was an idol worshiper herself. And then with the idol worship and the idolatry, the separation from God, because in the very beginning, God was like, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." You done broke the 10 Commandments straight out the gate. Israel, Jerusalem, they were falling under this leadership, and they were following after it, because sometimes those things that we should not have look good, feel good, taste good to us, and we can't keep denying that the sin that's out there is appealing to us. Okay, so this is what's going on. Israel during this time has separated. Jerusalem has separated. They weren't aligned with God like they used to be. And so what had happened was Jezebel's daughter's in what had happened? Jezebel's daughter is in leadership. She is leading the whole thing. And there's idolatry. Separated from God. Now these are God's chosen people who are now following after idols, falling down before idols, worshiping idols, really not even thinking about the God of Israel. And he's on the back burner, right? The guy that brought their forefathers out, he's on the back burner. But here we go. There's a priest. Won't there be a priest? Won't there be a separated leader who stands consecrated 10 toes down? Okay, yeah. And his name was Jehoiada. I love the way it sounds, right? And so he had to summon his courage, because what he was doing at that time, when Jezebel's daughter was under the impression that she had killed all the bloodline of David, he had the grandson hidden for 7 years. The first 7 years of this baby's life, he was hidden in the temple. Yeah, so he could grow up and have wisdom imparted into him. Also, the charge and the call on his life are told to him pretty much every day of his life. Because when you're 7 years old and you're about to be a ruler and your parents are gone and you find out your grandma was the one who did it and all of these things, right? That's heavy. And so Jehoiada stood in the gap, worked with the boy, mentored him, poured into him, empowered him, loved on him, gave him the affection he needed. He had to use his strength for that because he had to keep the boy hidden until the appointed time. At the appointed time, he was to be crowned king. At 7 years old, then Jehoiada had to get all the people to rally around this, because to take a 7-year-old to make him king when there's already someone on the throne is not going to be a very, oh yeah, let's just do it. No, it's going to be some resistance. There's going to be some hesitation. People can be scared and fearful. So he had to summon his strength to show strength. He had to summon his courage to show courage. He's in a position of leadership. He had to pull from within him so that he can push it and portray it on them so that they can feel comfortable in the shift and the transition that was about to happen, right? So then, here we go. Where the baby's 7, he's about to be king. Got the crown on. He had army men, guards, soldiers. Thank you, in place. He even had the Levites there in place. Now the Levites were additional priests, but this day, for this purpose, he had them with arms, which means they were trained to fight. Then he went and he got King David, got King David's war tools and weapons, so that those who were in position to fight would have David's weapons as well, which was also a visual reminder for the people like, oh my gosh, that's David's weapon. This is really about to happen. We need to get on board with this. So then the queen comes over and she hears the noise and she's like, what are they doing? Let me go see. But she couldn't even get close enough to the young king to even try to do any damage to him because he had set the guards in positions in places, right? He had a military strategy because he knew what was about to happen. So she yells out, this is treason, right? And they're like, oh no, your reign is over. We are no longer listening to you. And so they take her out of the temple, they take her out of the city, and they find her guilty and deal with her over there. Right? But then there's still this young king. And so to make it really official, a lot of times what they did was they had these ceremonies. So what Jehoiada had the people do was, let's get right. Let's renew our commitment to God. So he didn't start a new covenant with them. What he said was, we're going to renew the original. We're going to go back to the Mosaic covenant, right? Because you know, two covenants in the Old Testament. Anyways, he said we're going to restore the Mosaic covenant. We are going to recommit ourselves to our king, who's in the line of David, and we're going to recommit ourselves to our God. We are now, and part of this recommitment is we have to go and smash down all these idols. We have to destroy everything that separated us, that was a chasm between us and God. Right? So every idol, everything that set itself up, everything that was in a lofty place, everything that was in a high place had to be brought down low and destroyed. So part of this reason that I'm pulling up on us today is because there are some things in our lives that have to come down. There are some things that we put in some places. There are some people we put in some places, has to come down. Not only does it have to come down, it has to be destroyed. So there are some relationships, some ties that you have that need to be broken. There are some numbers that need to be deleted out your phone. There's some search histories that need to be deleted as well, because we're going to reset our algorithms, okay? Because you need food that's going to fuel you, not food that's going to keep you in bondage, not stuff that's going to keep you in mess, not people who want to remind you of who you used to be. Yes, I was what I was. Now I am who I am. We are renewing and recommitting in this season. And it is imperative that we follow this example that is nestled right here in 2 Chronicles 23, because the time is nigh. Right? We see all these things happening and all this stuff shifting and all these things moving. And we know the enemy has an agenda, and it's a very generational and strategic agenda. I'm going after babies. I'm going after the middle age. I'm going after the season 6. It's a no holds barred situation that the enemy is going after. But I heard in my Bible that if my people who are called by my name, now, I don't know what they call themselves, but if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, will pray, will seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and heal their land. I don't know about you. I don't know what your news reports say or what your algorithm is set on. As for me and my algorithm, we're hearing the worst of the worst. We're seeing the worst of the worst. We're seeing mothers against sons and fathers against daughters and cousins against cousins. We're seeing it in families. We're seeing it in communities. We're seeing it in cities. We're talking about cities have total strongholds. We're talking about murder rates and incest and rape and domestic violence and plagues and drugs and addictions and illnesses, and these things just keep happening and keep happening and keep happening, and the jails just keep going up and getting bigger and bigger, but yet there's no money for the healing. There's no money for health, and there's no money for wellness. There's no money for mental support. Oh no, we can't support those things. Not we as in us who align with Jesus, right? Not us, them, the powers that be, the leaders who are in high places. Isn't it funny how there aren't really valley leaders? That a lot of, we're in leadership, we're going to Capitol Hill, we're up high, and in courtrooms the judge is up high. Neither here nor there. Focus. Okay, I'm back. Jehoiada is a prime example of what those of us who, one, call ourselves Christian, those of us who say we are following or trying to follow after Jesus, those of us who are ministry leaders, separated leadership, he is giving us a blueprint. And it starts in that very first verse of chapter 23, where he summoned his courage. Then he had strategy. He was a strategic leader. I'm going to line this up, that up, and this up, all before we move forward with the renewal and recommitment. He knew how to reach the people, not just with words, but with visuals and his lifestyle. He presented himself before the people with courage. But before he could present himself before the people with courage, he had to summon it within himself. And so many times we forget that. Like, I need to show my humanity. I'm going through. But also you need to show your bravery. You need to show your holy boldness. You need to not back down. You need to not be batting your eyes and cowering and hiding behind a bushel. And I'm this and I'm that. And you're all the labels that they put on you. But God said, you are supposed to be a peculiar people. God said, you are a royal priesthood. God said you were made in his image. And we don't serve no weak, shy, wishy-washy God. So let's line up with what God has called us out to be. This is your Jehoiada season. This time in history, you want to make sure you're on the right side of it. You want to make sure you are carrying the blood-stained banner of the Lord, because he died in your place. The things that you do that keep separating you from God, Jesus died in your place for that, so that you could come back. Not so that you could come back and run away and come back and run away, so you could come back and stay. This is the more perfect union. This is what we need to be seeking after day and night, night and day. We have to consume this Bible and these verses like we did when we were in Sunday school and vacation Bible school, and we were young and we just had all of that fervor and fire, and we were just on fire for God. Blow your flames. I don't know what they call it, the timbers, the embers. Whatever you need to do to light that fire back up, just have a remembrance session, right? Roll back the curtains of memories now and then. Show me where you brought me from and where I could have been. Lord, remember, I'm human and humans forget, right? But when you do remember, when it comes back to your mind, when it comes back to your remembrance, how good God is, how good he's been to you, how bad it could have been, what he kept you from, the path he now has you on, the connections you're making, the situations you're now in because of him. When it comes to your remembrance, don't just praise him on Sunday. Don't just step into the church and wave your hands. Every day we have to live this out. We have to summon the courage within us not to go back, not to yield to temptation, not to fall victim to the wiles of the enemy. His plans for us, the enemy's plans have not changed. Still kill and destroy. That's his mission. That's his assignment. Don't get caught up in that. There are so many things out here to distract us from the word of God and to have us showing up as less than our authentic selves. And then the world will keep telling you, I thought you were a Christian. I thought you were a Christian. It's funny how you know how to be a Christian, but you're not one. But you want to tell me how to be, and you want to tell us how to be, and you want to tell the church how to be, but you're not in one. I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. No, you're a sinner. Oh, yeah. And so am I. The difference is I'm saved by grace, and I accepted it. Okay, you still over here worshiping creation instead of the creator. How are those crystals working for you? Oh, okay, great. And at the same time that we are summoning our courage, and we are reminding ourselves of how good God has been, and we are standing in our holy boldness, at the same time we have to be okay with releasing people who are not. Does that mean we don't pray for them? Absolutely not. Y'all heard last week's show. We must still pray for them. we have to pray for them even harder because they're going through it without shield, without cover. Wasn't the best choice of them to choose the wrong team, but we pray that they get on board, all right? So look, I appreciate y'all pulling up with me as I pulled up on y'all, and I know this is not our normal flow, and I get that. However, I really felt compelled to remind us that we have to walk in courage. We've got to breathe out courage. We've got to stand on what we believe. And if you don't know what you believe and who you are in this season, you got to get into your word, the Bible, the basic instructions before leaving earth. You have to get in it. Like, okay, so what does this mean? What does that mean? And don't be afraid to use tools to help you gain a deeper understanding. Don't be afraid to sit for an extra 5 minutes in silence and just hear from God during your prayer time. Don't be afraid to do that. The Lord will draw nigh unto those who draw nigh unto him. Means he'll get closer to you as you get closer to him. So if you're reaching out for him, he's going to have his hand ready for you. Okay? So in all thy getting, get understanding. Understand who he is. Understand who you are. And understand that there is courage planted inside of you to face whatever today is going to bring. And the next day. And the day after that. Sometimes showing up is the thing. Just show up. You'd be surprised what happens when you show up in your full self. You never know who's watching. And what they say, you might be the only Bible some people read. Maybe. It's 2025. Things have changed since we were younger. We legitimately might be the only Bible some people read. Because the Bibles aren't in school. Whole nother show. There it is. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Assisted Laudable Living. Remember, laudable means healing. And I need you all to be in a place of healing. I need to stay in a place of healing. And so this word goes out every week to make sure as we go higher and higher, we are grounded in truth. We know the truth. So when falsehoods come by, we know that's not it. That's imitation. That's a substitute. That's a sugar alternative. That's not raw sugar. That's not it. It don't even taste right to us to be in those situations anymore. Yeah. And so that's part of the reason we named the show Assisted Laudable Living. So from time to time, I will pull up and check in through this show. I am your host, Jasheena, Rev J. Shelton, founder of Jasheena Shelton Enterprises, the sole sponsor of this show. And I am excited that you tuned in, but more importantly, I'm excited that we had this time together so that you and I can grow and learn and do some more studying on our own about Jehoiada and get that in our system to summon our courage before we go out here and do the things that the Lord would have us do. All right? Now, y'all have a great week, and I'll see you next week.